Al Jazeera Podcasts.
Today, shooting back from Palestine.
We see the power that these images and these pictures and this moving film have to change a narrative.
In a sea of visual documentation showing their suffering, how are Palestinians using imagery to resist? I'm Malika Bilal, and this is The Take. Images of the Palestinian experience have grabbed the world's attention in a new way over the past year. It's why Palestinians have worked under constant challenges to bring audiences stories of all kinds, including Al Jazeera journalists. And perhaps no other player in those stories better understands their impact on the world than Israel.
Pretty remarkable scenes as a group of Israeli forces came in, guns drawn with these huge weapons in hand, ordering the closure of Al Jazeera's office in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. Now, since then,
After midnight on Sunday morning, Israeli soldiers raided the Ramallah bureau of Al Jazeera in the occupied West Bank, ordering a 45-day closure and seizing equipment. It follows an order in May that shut down the Al Jazeera bureau in Jerusalem. This breaking story makes the conversation we're bringing you today a timely one. Here's the show. Destruction of neighborhoods, hospitals overwhelmed, parents sobbing while holding their lifeless children. Over the last 11 months, on our phones and TV screens, we've been confronted with an endless barrage of images of Palestinian suffering. But while carnage and grief have dominated headlines, on occasion, another type of image has managed to break through. One of joy, even in the darkest of times.
Today we're going to teach you how to make jazmas or shakshuka habibi, which is tomato and eggs.
And resilience. A resilience that's been there all along, but that's now seen by millions around the world.
I think for the longest time, specifically our people, whether being Muslim or Arab, people have had a lack of empathy. They look at us based upon the propaganda and the picture that was painted that we're terrorists, or we're dark people that just want to hurt other people. So we're being painted with this brush. And I think sometimes to correct it, we need to create a new canvas and paint our own picture. And our own pictures, in our eyes, one of the best modes is really with video, with film. My name is Badie Ali. I'm the co-founder of Watermelon Pictures, a film distribution company here in Chicago, Illinois.
Badie, welcome to The Take. We have to start with the name of your production company, Watermelon Pictures. It is juicy, it is catchy, but there's also real power and meaning behind that moniker. So talk to me about how you came up with the name Watermelon Pictures.
Yeah, it's actually funny. My brother and I were spitballing all these different names, and the first one that instantly came to mind was Watermelon Pictures. I think we know the watermelon symbolism to the Palestinians, and it goes back to 1967, where after 1967, the Israelis basically they blocked and banned the use of the flag in anything, whether it being outside your home or even in art. So the Palestinians, with their creative resistance and creative ingenuity, decided that they were going to use the watermelon in art to portray Palestine. Watermelon shares colors with the Palestinian flag, and it is a fruit that is very abundant in Palestine, and Palestinians are known for growing. So that, and now we see in social media and across all these other avenues, the watermelon is being used.
But you also have a little animation at the beginning of your productions that shows the watermelon and its seeds. Talk to me about the thinking behind that.
Yeah, so the picture is just a bunch of seeds. And if you look at the seeds, it's basically people sitting in an auditorium watching a movie. But all of these seeds basically represent different people across the world, basically in diaspora, being planted and now this is with Watermelon Pictures. Hopefully it's time to come to fruition.
I remember the thrill that I got when I saw the first trailer for Watermelon Pictures.
We control our own narrative and share who we are with the world, with the promise that from the river to the screen, Palestine will be seen.
بعد 50 سنة بتتأمل إنك ترجع على فلسطين؟
لو عشت 100 سنة بدل متأمل.
It did bananas on social media, at least in my feeds. People were sharing, commenting, loved it, loved this idea. There's one line in the trailer that says, "For too long, we have been misrepresented, villainized, shut out." What's behind that? Talk to me about how bad the landscape has been that caused the need for something like Watermelon Pictures.
Well, just to bring it into the images that we're seeing, what we saw in Lebanon, these devices that have blown up and all these innocent people passing away, and we're watching it on surveillance cameras in real time. The fact that hasn't made people go crazy, the major mainstream news, not even covering it, ignoring it, it just shows that we've been dehumanized to such a point that even with all these images we're seeing being live streamed, people are not reacting. So the disconnect and the hypocrisy between how on one side it's looked versus the other, we are being demonized, that we're all in the same boat, we're all evil people. This movement is to basically show that that's not who we are. And it's really not up to you anymore. This is coming, and if you're going to block us, we're going to find another place to show this.
So you've been in the industry doing this work for a long time, you and your family, but this concept is new.
Yeah, we've been witnessing the genocide in front of our eyes since October, and being involved in film and industry. My brother and I said, we have pretty much always been active, whether it's, helping support relief organizations or political advocacy. But then we said, what do we have that's unique? And we realized when we thought about it, we're the only Palestinian-led distribution company in North America. And when it hit us, we're like, let's start reaching out to some of these things we're seeing on social media. There's a lot of great filmmakers. There's a lot of great productions. There's a lot of great content that's out there. Who is releasing this? Where is its home? And as we started reaching out to all these players, none of them, it was the same thing with all of them. It was like, yeah, we don't have North American distribution. We're trying to sell it on our own through our website or this. And we're like, we could do this for you, no problem, So
can I break down what that means? And when you don't have North American distribution, that means huge audiences where a lot of the decisions in the world and life get made are not seeing this art, are not seeing this content, are not seeing the truth of what many Palestinians are going through. Is that what that means?
Exactly. But by mere being put on some of these platforms, it's going to, by default, just get so many more eyeballs. So an example was, we acquired the rights to a film called Israelism.
Some American Jews who come here say, we came to Israel and we left from Palestine.
The non-Jewish community does not understand our obsession with Israel.
Actually, we licensed, out of all places, we actually also licensed it for television to Jazeera. So just so that's there. But to other places as well, we were able to get onto Apple TV, for instance. And on Apple TV, it actually was the #1 doc on Apple TV for, I think, 5 days or something. It's been in the top 10 for weeks. So again, that exposure, people flipping through their TVs and it popping up right away, that's what you want.
After the break, the most powerful images of the last 11 months. Hi. Before we continue, we want to know more about you and how you feel about our podcasts. You can help us out by taking a survey. It's short and it's anonymous. Stay tuned to the end of this episode to find out how you can have your say. So we talked earlier about the importance of Palestinians being able to tell their own stories. And this war is already so different in the fact that so many people around the world can see the carnage and the violence and the killing in the palm of our hands. You wake up in the morning and you scroll and you see these horrific images of what Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank are facing. What has been the impact, do you think, of people being able to witness the war through a Palestinian lens, of Palestinians actually showing their reality for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this has not been the first genocide, but we can safely say this is the first genocide that's being documented by the people themselves for everyone to see. So this in itself, again, the power of these people showing their own kind of fate and what they're going through.
Hey everyone, this is Hisham from Gaza, and this is to inform you that the starvation hits again in the north of Gaza, but now harder because of the closing of all the crossings, preventing every aid from entering Gaza.
It's what's going to change the world. It's because of these devices and the ability in these platforms, they're able to do it. I think the new generation has pretty much lost trust in the news, the legacy news outlets. And I think they're looking for more authenticity. And what's more authentic than having somebody you align with sharing their opinions? Now, the effect it's having on people, like we saw pretty much early on in social media when this started, you saw a huge amount of people who were never probably familiar or had experience or exposure with this cause, all of a sudden be brought into it, and it instantly humanizes, right? It humanizes the people and the conflict. I think historically people have always looked at the conflict, it's complicated, it's Palestinians, it's Israel, it's this. But when you're seeing the maiming of children, the destruction, all of the things that we've seen, it's different. And to be honest, that's pretty much what we're trying to do with Watermelon Pictures, is humanizing, our people. And humanizing doesn't necessarily mean a documentary about the Palestinian-Israel conflict all the time. It's about telling real stories, It's about showing us as humans, just like anybody else. And I think having these images live streamed have really brought to the global community.
Yeah. But there's been such an evolution in the way that these images are seen and in the way that they're consumed. So, for example, I'm thinking of the image of Mohamed and his father. This is years ago, back in the year 2000. A young boy crying and his father shielding him up against a building while the Israeli military is shooting at them. Something that stuck with me ever since I saw it. That image became iconic for many people. But now we're seeing this constant stream of images just like that, almost every day, every hour, in photos, in videos coming out of Gaza. And I'm wondering if there's a singular image that has stuck with you throughout these past 11 months.
Yeah. If I could say there's one image that sticks out, I would say that there's one. Unfortunately, it's so many that come to my mind. But if I had to mention one, the famous image of Khaled, the grandfather of Reem and Tariq, Ruh al-Ruh, that image to me, it encapsulates so many different things. One, the agony, the feeling of loss by seeing the helpless, babies there, but the resilience at the same time of the grandfather who, with his faith, is accepting what's happening and just embracing it, but yet his emotions are thrown out. And it's just the way he did it, the resilience and his unshakable faith has just, to me, that illustrates who the Gazan people are.
And this is, for our listeners, a grandfather who's holding the lifeless body of his granddaughter, Reem, and he's saying, soul of my soul, she was the soul of my soul. And it's heartbreaking every time I think about it. I want to cry. What do you make of the fact that there isn't just one image, like that you had so many that you could share with me?
I think a lot of times where we make our mistake is we're only looking at the images that are coming specifically from that perspective, from the perspective of a child, perspective of whether they're the starvation, whether it's the displacement, whether it's the burnt bodies, the maimed, all the missing body parts, the death, the prayers. There's perspectives of global protest. With social media, every single person there has recorded something when they're at a protest. These same images are going back to the people of Gaza in Palestine, and they see it and it gives them hope. And another image that comes to mind is, and another powerful way to take an image, is the image of the IOF soldiers eating McDonald's at the beginning of the conflict. Yeah. That led to a boycott of McDonald's that cost McDonald's billions of dollars in just the first year. So
right. Because let me explain. It wasn't just the fact that they were eating McDonald's; it's that they were eating free McDonald's given to them in support of the Israeli military.
Exactly, and it just shows that with these images, there needs to be action, and I think that people have woken up, and it's about time. But we needed all these pieces to be together to really make true change. We look at ourselves as activists, kind of first, and we're using this medium to kind of really get out this, change this narrative and kind of have this effect. One of the most silver lining things of all this has been just the amount of outreach and the people we've been connecting with, the filmmakers, the talent, even from an investment, everyone we've talked to, the talent is there. We have the resources. If Watermelon could do anything, I hope and pray that it could be a unifying force in bringing these resources and talents together, because, the time is now and there's no excuse anymore.
Yeah. But that is such an optimistic note. But the fact that you are championing Palestinian stories and you are Palestinian and your team is Palestinian, how is that being received in Hollywood? Because like we mentioned, you have cachet in the industry. Your parent umbrella companies responsible for the distribution of films like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Sherlock Holmes films. So you know what you're doing. You have an in already. But then you come with this, which some will see as social justice and others will see as having an agenda. How do you merge those two things and be taken seriously?
Yeah, to be honest, when we first started, Hamza and I were really nervous that this would shut us down, that we would get canceled as a company. We're utilizing our current distribution chain, with a new label essentially. And how would they react to some of these titles? The true test, honestly, was Israelism, and we thought that was going to be it. However, so there was no pushback on Israelism. So in that regard, we're good so far, and there has been no pushback on any of the releases that we have had so far. However, historically, or we have talked to our buyers at some of these, I can't name the actual outlets, but some of these places, they actually said anything related to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, we don't have autonomy to make those decisions. It goes to a sensitive buyers group, which, we know who those are. Yeah. So that was directly from the horse's mouth, and that's the reality. So this conflict, there are gatekeepers to this conflict. A lot of actors we've spoken with, some of whom which have spoken out against, what's happening, the genocide, and they themselves have been, not necessarily 100% canceled, but they noticed that they're not getting job offers anymore. And again, that's part of what we're doing, is we need to really humanize our people and our who we are. And the way to do that is to put us in positions to be successful, positions where people can see us. We always say we want to have our own Leonardo DiCaprio. We want to have our own action star. So that's where we feel that change will come.
And that's The Take. At Al Jazeera Podcasts, we want to hear from listeners like you. So if you have a few minutes, go to aljazeera.com/survey and tell us about yourself. From things like how you listen to us, to what kind of shows you want to listen to, or topics you want us to cover. Again, that's aljazeera.com/survey. We can't wait to hear from you.